Day 716 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again. Another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 1855, maximum distance between a pair of values. The difficulty level is medium, but don't worry because you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as possible. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go in and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. You are given two non-increasing zero-index integer arrays nums1 and nums2. A pair of indices I and j where 0 is less than or equal to I and I is less than nums1 dot length and 0 is less than or equal to j and j is less than nums2 dot length is valid if both I is less than or equal to j and nums1 of I is less than or equal to nums2 of j. The distance of the pair is j minus I. Return the maximum distance of any valid pair I and j. If there are no valid pairs, return 0. An array R is non-increasing if R of I minus 1 is greater than or equal to R of I for every 1 that is less than or equal to I and I is less than R dot length. All right, y'all, so that may seem a little bit confusing at first, so let's go ahead and take a look at these examples just to make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this here so y'all can see what's going on. So in example 1, we have our input nums1 equals an array of integers 55, 30, 5, 4, and 2. Nums2 equals an array of integers 100, 20, 10, 10, and 5. The output is 2. So let's see how they got this output from this input by looking over here. So first thing, each one of these just represents the index. Then this is, sorry y'all, let me come over and say this is I, this is j, boom, and then this is j, sorry y'all, j minus I right here, boom. So first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that each one of these fits the requirements. So the first valid pair, or the valid pairs, are these right here, and the first one is 0, 0. So 0, that means we look at nums1 index 0, nums2 index 0. So nums1 index 0 is 55, nums2 index 0 is 100. Boom. So then we do 0 minus 0, that equals 0. Boom, right? Because we're doing the indexes. So, and I minus j would be 0 minus 0, which is equal to 0. Same thing, we go index 2 and 2, right? So index 2 is 5, and nums1 index 2 is 10, and nums2, right? So then we do 5, 5, that's this right here, and then 2 and 2, boom. So it's important to point out, though, we don't do 1, 1 because 1, 1 does not fit the requirement, whereas nums1 of I would be equal to 30, and nums2 of j would be equal to 20, and then so, but it doesn't fit the requirement, right? Because nums1 of I is not less than or equal to nums2, is greater than, right? Because 30 is greater than 20. It has to be less than nums of I has to be less than nums of j. Like 55 is less than 100. 5 is less than 10. You see, that's one of the requirements, as well as the indexes. Index I has to be less than or equal to index j. In this case, these two cases, they're equal to each other. But here, 2, 3, this is an example where I is also less than j. So 2, 3 will be 5 and 10. 3 minus 2 is 1. Boom. Then we got the 2, 4. So 2, 4 would be 5 and 5. 4 minus 2 is 2. 3, 3 would be 4 and this 10 right here. Boom. But 3 minus 3 is 0. Then 3, 4 would also be this 4 and this 10 over here, and 3 minus 4, would be 1, not negative 1. And then finally we have 4, 4 is the last valid pair, would be 2 and 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. But we want the maximum distance. So in this case, 2, this pair right here, has a distance of 2. 2 is the maximum distance. As you can see, all of the other distances are less than 2. Well, sorry, y'all. Actually, this isn't 5 minus 2. This is 0, 0. I mean, excuse me, not 0, 0. This is 4 minus 4, which equals 0. Sorry, y'all. So, yeah, 2 is the greatest distance, right? So, 2, all the other distances are less than 2. So, that's why we return 2, because 2 is the maximum distance. Boom. Now, I'm not going to go over it in that much detail with the other ones, but we could walk through them. So, in example 2, we have the input nums equals an array of integers 2, 2, 2. Nums 2 equals an array of integers 10, 10, 1. The output is 1. It says the valid pairs are 0, 0, 0, 1, and 1, 1. The maximum distance is 1 with pairs 0, 1. So in this case, 0, 1 would be the maximum distance right here. Follows the same principles as before. And in example 3, we have the input nums equals an array, nums 1 equals an array of integers 30, 29, 19, and 5. Nums 2 equals an array of integers 25, 25, 25, 25, and 25. The output is 2. Explanation says the valid pairs are 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 3, 3, and 3, 4. The maximum distance is 2 with the pair 2, 4. Boom, y'all. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. And now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. Solution is not that difficult at all, y'all. So first thing we're going to do is we need to create a place to store our results. So we're just going to create a variable called result. And we're going to set that equal to 0 just to start. Now we need a pointer for nums 1 and nums 1, and it's going to start at the beginning. So we'll declare a variable called I, and we'll set that equal to 0. Boom. Now we're going to iterate through nums 2 with pointer j. So we're going to say for j and 0 dot dot less than nums 2 dot count. We'll open up the brackets. Then we're going to move pointer I forward while I is within the bounds of nums 1 and I does not exceed j, since we need I to be less than j, and we need nums 1 of I to be greater than or if nums 1 of I is greater than nums 2 of j, then that's an invalid pair, and we must satisfy that nums 1 of I is less than or equal to nums 2 of j. So we're going to say while I is greater than, or excuse me, is less than nums 1 dot count, and 2 and signs I is less than or equal to j, and 2 and signs nums 1 square bracket I is greater than nums 2 square bracket j. We're going to come right here. We're going to open up the brackets, and we're going to say I plus equals 1. Boom. Now, after adjusting I, we're going to check if we have found a valid pair. So that means I is still within bounds, and I is less than or equal to j. So we'll come underneath this if while, and we'll say if I is less than nums 1 dot count, and 2 and signs I is less than or equal to j. Then we'll open up the bracket and update the maximum distance by saying result equals max, open up the parentheses, result, comma, j minus I. Boom. Then we're going to return the maximum distance found by coming right here, and we can say return result, y'all. Boom. That should be all she wrote. Let's give it a run. Make sure it runs properly. It's accepted. Now let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. And look at that, y'all. 4 milliseconds beats 77.78% of users. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see, y'all. So with that being said, y'all, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.